Bayou, I'm the school superintendent. I want to thank Ms. Alley and our staff for allowing us to use their facility this evening. And I want to thank all the parents from the Bayou Lewis community for being here. And also, I want to thank you all in advance for sharing your feedback to us so we can make the proper decision for Assumption Parish Schools. Also, I would like to say tonight is Bayou Lewis's night, and we want to make sure that we hear from all of those parents. So please, I know we have parents, and I look around the community members from other places. Please be respectful and allow them to speak tonight. We will be in each and every community, so you will have an opportunity to speak during that time. But tonight is Bayou Lewis's night. At this time, I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Drake. He is with CRSR. He will go over some meeting norms, tell us exactly the process and how things are gonna work for tonight. Mr. Drake?
Thank you, Superintendent. Good evening, everyone. My name is Warren Drake. I work for CSRS. I have with us tonight Bill Berry, who's architect trained and project leader for this Assumption Parish. Garrett Wingrove is associate project leader for this parish. I'm sort of familiar with this area, not so much Bayou Lewis. I call it Lewis. You know, I've heard a lot of different pronunciations, so I'm just gonna roll on it right. I was a teacher, assistant principal, superintendent in Zachary for 10 years and in Baton Rouge for 5 years. So I know schools backwards and forwards. Tonight, we're gonna hear from you. The superintendent has talked about, taking a look at how we can become more efficient and more effective. Effective is something like grades. We want our kids to be good students and good citizens. And then being more efficient is the monetary piece of it. The school systems make money, or not make money, but they're given money from the state by what is called the MFP, the Minimum Foundation Program. So every October 1st, which is coming up in about a week, every school will count their students. It's going to be on computer. They will send it to the state. And then we will know, the superintendent and the board will know exactly how many students are in Assumption Parish on October 1st. That is where your money comes from. Shortly thereafter, they will give whatever the money is per student, 10, 12, 13,000, I don't know what it is right now. And they will multiply the number of students by that figure, by that amount, and they will send it to Assumption Parish every month, 1/12 every month. That's the main fundraising, that's the main funds that come into your parish. Also sales tax, also property tax, and federal funds as well. So that is how this district funds what you do each and every day. I'm going to turn it over just a minute to you guys. I want to thank Ms. Gautreaux. We've been down here, all of us have been here before. I want to thank you, Ms. Gautreaux, and Katie Rock, and Randy, and all the people who work here, because they're awesome. This has been such a great, it's really been fun to go to all the communities and talk to the people, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. And I miss being around schools, to be honest with you. I've been retired from superintendent since 2020 in Baton Rouge. But I've worked for CSRS because when I was in Zachary, we had 4 building plans. 4 times we passed a tax to build schools. And CSRS, I hired them to manage it for me because my job was academics. And we did pretty well doing that. So I hired them. I know they're a first-class company, and that's why when the president of the company called me one day and said, "Do you want to come work part-time? You know most of the superintendents in the state." I said, "Sure, I'll do that." And so I work about 10 to 15 hours every week. So it's a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm going to talk about timeline real quick. I'm going to tell you what CSRS is doing in this district. The board, and I think we have 4 board members here tonight. Thank y'all for being here as well. Thank you, Ms. Barris. They hired us to do a look at your district to become more efficient and more effective. And that's what we've done. And here, I'm going to give you the 5 things we are doing, and I'm going to give you the timeline for them so you know exactly the process we used. First off, the demographic study. The demographic study is being done by Mike Hefner. He's out of Lafayette. He's a former school board member in Lafayette. He does this all over Louisiana. And he is through with all of the numbers except the October 1st numbers. And he'll get those in about a week or two. And the date on that was from June 1st through August 15th, and that's completed. The second thing is assessment of facilities. These two men came here and they went to every facility and did the facility assessments. The timeline was June 1st through August 15th. They've completed that and have all the data just waiting. The third thing is the educational adequacy analysis. Well, what does that mean? What that means is if they look at the buildings and they see that a building is not adequate for the students to be in that building, we have to move them to another building. And so if you move students from one building to another on the same campus or another campus, you have to make sure that what is going to be taught in that building, and is that building adequate for that whether it's band or whatever it might be, is it adequate? Does it have the right things in it? You wouldn't want to put pre-K and all tall toilets, right? Not all anyway. You may have some big ones, but you know what I'm talking about. So that's what the educational adequacy analysis is. The fourth one is what we're doing tonight, the community meetings. We have 5. Pier Park was last Tuesday, tonight Bayou Lures. Next Tuesday is Labadaville, and next Thursday is Napoleonville, and then the following Thursday is Belrose. So we will do all of them the same at 6 o'clock. And let me give you let me go back just a second. The community engagement is September and October. That's the timeline. We're going to be through on October 10th with the community engagement. And then the last thing is facility master planning. When all of these things are done, we're going to go back and sit down and take a look at all the data we have, all the feedback we have from you, and decide what we think needs to happen in Assumption Parish to become more efficient and more effective. That goes to the superintendent. The superintendent will make a recommendation to the board, and the board will vote yes or no, whatever it is. It could be leave everything the same. It could be consolidate everything. It could be, I don't think anything drastic right now when we're looking at everything. This is a great community. It's sort of an outlier. I mentioned the same thing in Pier Park last week. This is not close to anything. It's close to Morgan City. That's not Assumption Parish, right? And so we've got to take those things into consideration. Where is the school located? What is it near? How long do your kids have to ride the bus? Then all those things we will take into consideration. So I'm going to give you a little bit of ground rules here. We're going to give each person around 3 minutes to speak. We're not going to stop anybody. We're not the police. But be respectful of each other. And let's talk about Bayou Lures and what we need here, what the facilities are here, what can we do better here, what needs to be changed, what needs to be added, whatever you want to talk about. Let's be respectful. Understand this. We're going to take notes. So speak to us. All 3 of us will be taking notes. I get the easy job now. I get to sit down and turn it over to the principal and the superintendent. They're going to have these mics. They're going to walk around and bring the mic to you. And please stand up and tell us your name. If you're a parent, teacher, employee, or just a community member, and then you can tell us what you want to say about this whole process. Thank you again so much for allowing us to be here tonight. We're looking forward to it. So we got 2 mics here.
Also, I have, Mr. Darrell Dave. Mr. Darrell. Mr. Darrell walked in, just to let everyone know, Mr. Darrell is our Chief Financial Officer for the district. So he handles all of the money and everything as it relates to accounting services for us. So I listen to him more than he listens to me because he controls a lot of, he's the expert in controlling a lot of what happens in the district from a financial standpoint, what we can do and cannot do. Also, I want to recognize our board members. We have Ms. Dugas, she's here, so thank you for coming. We have Ms. Arso, she's here as well. I see Ms. Vandy Hood, she's here, and then Mr. Josh Wade there. So thank you all for coming. And then with any other, Ms. Barrow, this is our community here. So we talked 10 minutes before. So and Mrs. Barra. Any other community members that are serving in the
Our police juryman is here.
police jury?
Mr. Arapataro.
Ira Patero Jr.
Thank you. Thank you for coming as well. We appreciate you being here.
Oh, the
So at
top
this
man.
time, Mr. Drake, so the process is if anyone from the community that would like to speak, just raise your hand, and then obviously we're gonna walk to you and provide you the mic, and then you can share your feedback with this particular panel. So at this time, there you go. It's always the first one is always the hardest. After this,
Was that predictable?
Be careful, that one is cut out. I don't know if it's this part.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, which is probably very few, my name is Loretta Dupree. And I just want to thank all our board members for coming out here tonight because you have a very difficult job to do and a very hard decision to make. And I wish I got a vote, and I don't yet, but at this time, I'm glad it's not me. So good luck with it all, honestly. So I really can't tell you how I feel, but I can tell you what I experienced. My grandfather was born in Labneyville. My grandmother was one of 13 from Pierre Park. And I have lived in Bayou Lewis my whole life. I went to Bayou Lewis Primary, Labneyville Middle, and Assumption High School. So when I was in 4th grade at Bayou Lewis Primary, we had about 330 students, 2 classes in every grade, and we were flourishing. We were like the only school with air conditioning at the time because we had portable buildings, we had air conditioning. And it was great. It's like Mayberry here. You know, I remember our principal, it was like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. If y'all remember that show. It was like just good morning, boys and girls. Everything was peachy. And then, you know, we get to 4th grade and it's a little scary because we have to go to Labneyville Middle. At that time, you lose probably close to half of your 4th graders. It's not quite as significant now as it was then because there's less of us. But, you know, nobody is really super comfortable with sending their 10-year-olds into a different community that they won't know anyone. It's far away. We live on the edge of Morgan City and St. Mary Parish. So all of our parents work the opposite direction. So to go from our little tight-knit community to have to get on a bus and go that far, it's a struggle. It's a lot to deal with. Now, some would go to Morgan City because we have Morgan City addresses, and for the most part, that's not questioned very much. At one time, I believe there were 6 certified teachers living right here in our neighborhood, in this subdivision, who taught in St. Mary Parish. Didn't consider Assumption. And a lot of that, you know, they could take their kids with them. It's just easier. When we had to do it, it was hard. The first day of school, and Sherry's here, she probably doesn't remember this, I remember everything, but she probably doesn't remember this, I'll never forget. First day of school, 5th grade, social studies. We had to going into another community's turf at 10 years old is tough. The natural defense mechanism when someone's coming at you that's unfamiliar is to get defensive and bully. Because they don't know what they don't understand. I'll never forget the first day of school in 5th grade. My 5th grade social studies teacher stood in front of the classroom. And I could quote what she said because this is how clear it is in my mind. She said, "You see, y'all little sassy mamas from Bayou Lewis, with y'all straight A's and y'all ponytails, y'all been making straight A's over there. You're not gonna do that here." That's traumatizing to a 10-year-old. And I remember crying and not wanting to go back. Students, and he's one of my best friends now and I love him to death, but at the time, we were asked if when we like took a bath Did our water come out brown like the swamp? Because we're from the swamp and we have, Bayou. It was tough. And at 10 years old, to be in a group with 8th graders was really tough. Because we're so sheltered here, our parents still hold our hand, to cross the street at 10. And when you go with 14-year-olds, it's like they're basically adults. So that was tough. But we did it and we made it. We got through by 7th grade. All that stuff kind of settles because, you mature. But when we got to Latino Middle, we had French every day for an hour. Every day. And from what I understand now, there's nothing, is there anything at the high school? Do they have French teachers, Spanish teachers these days? No? So that's sad because, right, so I work at a company who has offices in multiple countries. I would love to be able to grab a high schooler that I could teach some accounting clerk work to that had some Spanish, who could speak Spanish, and would help me, So I think, resources definitely are thin, and we need to pull those together so that we can do more. I think that anything that's done grade-wise, it has to be a rebranding. To send one community into another school in another community on their turf, that was awful. It was awful. I'm not from Labadeville. I can't identify with that at all, still to this day. My grandfather was born there, but that's about it. That's all I know. But once we went to high school, we could identify with that. We're all from Assumption. So we didn't have those transition problems that we had going from here to Labrador Middle. We just didn't. There made a lifetime of friendships. In fact, to this day, I recently was part of a group that formed called AFTA. And we have a board member from every single community in this parish, and we were all band nerds together. And what we did, we formed a foundation to promote music and arts in schools. Because here, we've never had arts. We've never had music. We have it in 5th grade sometimes. In middle school sometimes, I think 2 days a week. But we realized the need was there for that. We have a board member from every single community, and we were recently able to put on a great big music and arts festival. That was the talk of every community for days. And every community was represented there musically and artistically, and it was great. We are one parish. Ultimately, in the end, the support for the high school is amazing. My cousins in Morgan City often say they wish they had the school spirit that we have here. But that being said, we wish in a perfect world, every community has K through 8. We have brand new schools, they're fully staffed, everybody has what everybody needs. In a perfect world. The world's not perfect. I'm also the parent of a little boy who is in 5th grade this year, who had to leave everything he knows and what's made him successful and go into another community school. We chose to exercise school choice. So every morning, I get up, I get dressed, I pass right by our school, we wave goodbye every morning, I pump the horn at him, I drive to Napoleonville to drop him off, and then I go to work in Morgan City. That was the best thing that was available to us because of all of this uncertainty. I didn't want to transition him to one school for 1 year and then potentially have to do it again. It complicates things because he's special needs, so the least amount of transitions we can do, the better. It's not great. It's not going great, to be honest. Again, we're still guests. It doesn't feel like our school. I don't know the layout of the school. I don't know that I can, yay, Napoleonville Middle School. I don't know if we were named Napoleonville High School, if it would work as well as Assumption High School does. So the branding is very important. Whatever we do is important. But at the same time, with all of these struggles that I mentioned, and you might be like, oh God, totally against any changes. No, because I recognize what we're facing. I just came straight from an IEP meeting at Bayou Middle. Our special education resources are incredibly thin. Our staff, in some situations we have one person covering 9 schools. They have to see kids in 9 schools. They are spending time that they should be spending with the students in their car. Now, you could say we'll approve more positions. Okay, cool. We'll fund more positions, but you can't invent people. If they're not out there, we can't find them. Robots can't do the job. I see that struggle every day in my personal life, dealing with my own child. I understand transportation hasn't always been smooth and peachy, and we haven't had to deal with that because I literally live 50 feet from this school. But this year, we were facing some of that. Now, thankfully, with school choice, we were able to offer a bus stop, which I think could work for and maybe alleviate some concerns with different communities. So here, what we're doing, those who exercise school choice, there's a community bus stop here at this school. So once the kids get on the bus, they go to school. They're not spending 2 hours on the bus one way or 2 hours back, not even close. About 35 minutes? They stopped one time at Laverdale to pick up some kids there at their community stop. So, and I think that's the conversations that we need to be open to having. What, as communities, can we do to maybe compromise and help alleviate everyone's concerns? I used to get on the bus at 5:45 a.m. to go to high school. I get home at about 3:15, 3:30. That was 2 extra hours a day with my friends. It wasn't that big of a deal. We actually would make note cards and study. We got to catch up on all the gossip of the day and all those things. Sometimes we take a nap. And I guess the other thing I want you to just seriously consider doing. This affects the students the most. Are we talking to them? What do they think? How do they think their school careers are going? I'm sure each principal in each school could maybe offer up a couple of students that would be good to interact and engage with. How do they feel their experience is going? What would they like to see? Would they like a science and robotics club? What are they interested in? Because Napoleonville Middle has art club, beta club, they have 4-H, drama club, they have band, they're doing cheer, they're doing all the things. But when I was in Laverdale Middle, we only had band like a couple days a week. We didn't have all those things. So if we can put our resources together and offer, honestly, robotics and foreign language to me, like when you graduate from high school, we need to be looking at what we can do to have kids ready for the world so that they are employable immediately. Like our economic situation here is nothing, basically. I mean, we don't have, nobody's staying and investing. What can we do to, when those seniors get out of high school, what makes them employable and desirable? Or make them want to say, hey, I can open a business, I can do this. What's relevant in today's world? Not 50 years ago, today. And I just think that's important. So, I don't know how I feel about any of it, but that's what I went through. That's what I think others in here would probably tell you they went through. We're going to do what we have always done in Bayou, no matter what. We're gonna put our head down and we're gonna get to work. Whatever comes our way, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work, because we always have.
So what would you do?
What would I do? I would build brand new K-8 schools in every community. Complete with Olympic swimming pools, so we would have a swim team. I mean, all the things. We would do all the things, but, I don't have the Powerball numbers.
welcome. I know, I told him I'd be more.
So, my name is Christina Chenier. I have 3 children. One's already graduated from high school through Assumption High. I am homeschooling currently my middle child due to some issues with Laverdale Middle School, not being the right environment for him. And my youngest is 4th grader here at Bayou Primary. So I am currently a proponent of the proposed consolidation based on Mr. Bartholomew's first proposal, which was to put 5th grade at this school, at all the elementary schools, if that would be possible. Because the idea of putting my current 4th grader at Laverdale is horrifying. And then the 6th, 7th graders at a community middle school, and then the 8th graders at the high school. That was his first proposal. I don't know where that stands now, if that's even.
On pause.
Right.
Not even being thought about at this time.
Right, I know that. That was just the first suggestion, and we don't know what anything's gonna happen. But that was what was suggested, and I love that idea, because the idea of having a community middle school with all these resources, because that was gonna have all the teachers from all those middle schools brought together, right? And you could have, because right now, I don't know the situation with the middle schools right now, but when I was in middle school, like Loretta said, we had band like 2 days a week, because that one band teacher was going from Laverdale to Napoleonville, and it was a shared resource between the 2 middle schools. And it was the same thing between the Bell Rose Middle School and the Pierre Park Middle School. So on Mondays, Laverdale got the teacher, and on Tuesdays, Napoleonville got the teacher. So if you could have that one band teacher at one school every day of the week, and you could maybe have band or art or some kind of curriculum like that every day, that would be amazing. And then you have, your coaches bringing the best of the best out of the students, your football and your baseball and your volleyball and all these different sports, and iron sharpens iron, so you have the best students bringing the best out of each other with your best coaches, and just all the resources pooled together in the same school. It just really excited me, the idea of everyone being together and not fighting each other, and the competitions being, together. I don't know, it really excited me, the idea of having everyone together and not being so distanced. And that's all I really wanted to say.
My name is Amber Cavalier. I am born and raised here in Bayou, Louisiana. My spouse is from Napoleonville, and so we're both products of Assumption Parish Schools. I as well came to Bayou Primary, Laverdale Middle, and then Assumption High School. And my parents were also Assumption High alumni. To go even further back in our history, we have always been the school that has had to sacrifice. We have always been the school that has had to pick up our kids and haul them by boat, by bus, or by car somewhere. Whether it was to Gibson, whether it was to Wyandotte, or Amelia, or taking Gibson to get to Laverdale Middle. That is what we have had to do in this parish, dating back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And so that has always been what we have sucked up and taken. Every time there is a consolidation considered, it is our school that people yell to close. We are small, but we are mighty, and our kids matter just as much as everybody else's. I have 3 children. I have one at Assumption High School. I have my middle, who is at Napoleonville Middle, and I have my youngest here at Bayou Primary in 2nd grade. I have been exercising school choice since my oldest entered middle school, because I saw the failing grades coming out of Laverdale Middle. I saw the teacher turnovers, and I saw the things happening. It is because we lack the resources in our community to come together and offer the things we need for our kids. And our kids deserve that education. We have children who deserve that too. And despite the way that people portray or paint the country living, we have very educated people who have came from our community and want to come from our community. By 5th grade, even though he transitioned to a school, my son was student of the year. He maintains a 4.0 grade point average, and he is a student athlete. And I say those things because he would have had more opportunities had we had some type of, unity in our parish to begin with. He is the only child on Assumption High's football team that plays football. He is the only child on Assumption High's baseball team. And that is for many of our children here because they haven't had the opportunities to mesh and to be able to learn to grow as a parish. And then by the time they create these teams and they start to play as one team, they're getting ready to leave the school. If you've ever watched Drumline, they tell you that they are one band and one sound. And you heard people talk about music. We are one parish, and we all want one product, and that is students who are educated, that are students who put better into the world than they left it. And we can't do that if we don't come together and we don't get realistic about what resources we have. I hold a master's degree and I'm a licensed professional counselor. And I'll tell you that we don't have the resources to give the aid we need to the schools. We don't have the counseling resources. As she said, more children are spending time in cars, more of the resources that we need are in cars than they are in the schools, helping our kids, our nursing staff, our counseling staff, our band directors. All of these resources are not there for our kids because we continue to just make do. We have been falling with our resources for years, and we have to open our eyes and we have to be proactive. And so I hope that whatever you propose, whatever statistics come up, or whatever numbers come up, that it is something that brings unity to our parish, but it also considers the education and the resources that our children deserve.
First of all, sorry for how I'm dressed. I did just hop out of the shower. But my name is Christy LeBlanc. I am a parent here. I have 2 children who attend Bayou Primary. But I do think I have a unique perspective. I did not attend past Bayou Primary. I'm a Bear through and through. I always will be. My parents opted for me to go to schools in St. Mary Parish because I did have more resources there. I had more opportunities to do things there. As an educator, I was here in Assumption Parish for 3 years, teaching gifted and talented. I was an itinerant teacher, and I can attest that the resources are thin. I was the only gifted and talented teacher at the end of my tenure here, and I had 83 students on my caseload, and I was covering 7 schools. I was in my car most of the time, because that was just the reality of it. We don't have the resources, y'all. We just don't. And we need to give our kids the opportunities that they deserve. And it is scary. Change is scary, but change is inevitable. It's something that we all need to look at all of the factors, and we need to come together to embrace that as a community and as a parish, because it has to be about the kids. It cannot be about what our opinions are, how we disagree about things. We have to think about what is best for the kids at the end of the day. So I really would like y'all to consider that. I have fears of my own because I also have 2 children with special needs, and they're here, and I'm scared about what will happen with them beyond Bayou Primary. But with the resources all together, I do know that my kids would be able to have the things that they need as well as all of the other kids. So just as a community, I would like us to be able to look at all of the facts and not have discourse about it. I want us to be able to come to understandings.
You know, the parents, community members, Madam Principal.
It's a nerd.
Thank you, sir. A lot of you guys here know who I am. I'm Jordan LeBlanc. I live here in Bayou Lewis. I've been living in Bayou Lewis now for the past 10 years. Also, for all of those 10 years, I have been the band director at Assumption High School. Currently, now working in Lafourche Parish as music teacher for the TAG program, Talented and gifted program. And just a little bit of background about myself. I was not, like I said, mentioned earlier, I was not born here. I was not raised here. I basically moved out here out of necessity because the only job available for me out of college was in Pearport. But speaking from an outside perspective, growing up as a musician from 5th grade all through high school and through college, and going from what I experienced there to what I experience here, I feel like is, I don't want to say a tragedy, but I feel like that our students are extremely disserviced based off of my experiences observing the music programs in our parish. As the band director at Assumption High School, I tried so hard with my fellow middle school directors to continue to push and advocate for our music students, because I know that we have some very talented students in our parish, very musically inclined students with musical backgrounds, and I just don't feel like that that's being cultivated enough because of the lack of resources. I can attest, for sure, all of the comments that the parents tonight have made specifically about the music programs, about only meeting twice a day, and I can attest to that perfectly because I lived it the last 10 years, having to try to push or try to help our middle school teachers, our 2 middle school teachers currently, to try to figure out some kind of way to further enhance what music education that they currently have. I can tell you right now, there are, somebody help me, how many days of school do the students currently have? I can guarantee you that our music students are getting less than half of that in the classrooms. And I don't have that data on me to back it up, but I do have reliable sources that have calculated it and have tried to present it to all the people possible. So I can guarantee you that our students are not getting that particular resource that they so rightfully deserve. And this is me coming from a student who, from 5th grade all the way through high school, had band every single day. And going back to Lafourche Parish as a teacher, I can still see the level, even at the middle school levels, y'all, the level of development is so much different than here because they have those resources every day, because they have a teacher in every school teaching them every day. And not just that, but they also have direct view of the teachers that they'll see next, because they have the high school teachers visiting those schools almost every single day. And that was just not something that, unfortunately, we haven't had here in a long time. And I feel like that our students certainly deserve that. I feel like, because just also, for those of you that don't know, our school, our parish, is one of several in what's known in the Louisiana Music Educators Association as District 7. It's our parish, Lafourche Parish, Terrebonne, St. Mary, St. John, I think, as well. And I can tell you, based off of just our, I would consider our tri-parish area, Lafourche, Terrebonne, St. Mary, and us as well, I can guarantee you that the vast majority of those schools have band every single day, have a teacher in the classroom every single day. And that's why it made it so hard for me as a teacher for 10 years, trying to play as much catch up as possible, because as a high school teacher, trying to compete on the same level as some of those other schools, we're already at a disadvantage because our students are getting less than half of the amount of time that all of the other students in other parishes are getting. So I guess really what I'm asking for is to try to figure out some kind of way to get our students on a more even playing level with students from other parishes that have those luxuries, and get them the resources that they need to be successful. Because I feel like if we can put our students in positions to be successful, that our students will step up to the plate and be able to perform at a level more indicative of their age and their grade level. If you would like, I do have some data I can try to offer for you after this meeting, and I'll try my best to try to get that to you.
Celeste Pinasol. I guess I'm here just to give a little bit of history that I found out today because of a post that we saw on Facebook about the old school. But first I want to tell you how invested I am in Bayou Lewis. I grew up in Pierre Park. I've been in Bayou Lewis, 42 years. And as Willie Rollins would say, I'm no longer from Pierre Park, I'm from Bayou Lewis now. Right, just want to make sure you remember that. What's my investment? My 2 children went to Bayou Lewis primary when it was in the back, all portable buildings, okay? When the weather got bad, every parent cringed because, you know how like your dog freaks out, you know, you gotta give it Benadryl? Well, we were kind of hoping that we give our kids Benadryl. Guess what? We didn't know when the weather was gonna come up. But then we ended up here. Now, we don't have the best of everything. I'm sure y'all noticed that this building here is very nice, but our children still go in portable buildings. But you know what? They still thriving. I have 2 grandchildren. One's here. She's a student of the month. The other one, we opted for school choice, my daughter and her husband, and she takes the bus and she goes to Napoleonville. She was just nominated and screened for GT. But she's not excited. It's a damn shame. She's not excited. What is wrong with that? Exactly. We don't have the programs. The child started on the drums in percussion, okay? Played her heart out on the bells, and then decided she wanted to play the clarinet. A year and a half of clarinet, and she's being screened for GT. But she ain't excited, people. She's not excited because we don't have the programs. My daughter and son both graduated from college. My son has a PhD in genetic biology from Assumption High School, go figure. But we were from the Bayou. Yep. I'm not here to criticize anybody. We just all know the facts. A little bit of history. We just found this out today. So if you came from the Morgan City, you came from like Morgan City area, when you got to Tubascope, there is a fenced in area. Somewhere along the bayou there was a school at one time. My father-in-law went there, my mother-in-law went there. My mother-in-law, funny story, she used to call it the school boat because she was taken from across the bayou in Bayou Buff, and then she was brought, to Bayou Lewis, and then she moved to Amelia and then to Amelia. But my father-in-law tells me tonight that it was 1st through 5th, and then they went to Morgan City for 6, and they graduated from Morgan City. But then when the school closed here, he couldn't tell me the year. He said maybe Aunt Liz would know. So I'm trying to get the information from Aunt Liz. He said maybe 10 years the building probably sat on the property. But when the school closed, they were carted to Gibson. Now Gibson from here is a good 40-minute ride on a bus, and I'm sure the roads were not the roads, but that's another story for another day. So we don't know the year that they started going to Labadeville. Because remember, then when they closed the school, they stopped going to Gibson, they started going to Labadeville. There was no road, gentlemen. 398 that you may have come down, did not come up till 1971. I was in the 1st grade in Pierre Park. My husband tells me that he remembers riding the bus on the gravel road, and he couldn't remember, but he said probably maybe 4th grade maybe, he could speculate, that he finally was riding on blacktop, pavement, asphalt, whatever y'all want to call it, okay? But, so that's kind of the timeline. So what year was Bayou's primary in the back came up?
1983.
1983. So from, we don't know what date Gibson, but until 1983. You can't even imagine the relief when I found out that Miss Ann Brew was gonna be my son's kindergarten teacher in Bayou Lewis. And then he had to go to Abbeville. He's still traumatized. I'm telling you, he can tell you stories. I can tell you one right now. He took Taekwondo because he wasn't a very big person at the time. I was coming off of the bleachers in the gym one day, and he saw the guy was gonna pop him. Just instant reaction, bam, laid him out. So my money was well worth it. And at that time, you didn't get arrested and, you know, all that other stuff, so I guess it was all right. But at least he could defend himself. It still happens now, right? Everywhere. Look at the news, you know? Unity. Unity. That's what we need. I'm a supervisor at Centos. About a year and a half ago, I was told that instead of being an office manager, I was going to be given 12 people to supervise. I have 3 in Miami. I had one in St. Pete at the time, 4 in Mobile, and 3 in Thibodeau. Why am I telling you this? Unity, people. I took that team and I showed them what a little coon-ass from southern Louisiana that they think lives in the swamp and I pet the alligators every morning can do for a team. We are thriving. I took one of the locations had the worst bad debt in AR and got it down to kind of in the middle. We're working on it. Unity. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. And as a grandmother, it hurts my heart when my grandchild is not going to be excited about being nominated for GT. That's a shame.
Hi, I'm Mandy, Dr. Mandy Celeste. I grew up here on the Bayou. My kids, I have 3 at Bayou's primary right now, 1 in Head Start, 1 in 1st grade, and 1 in 4th. So I'm a little nervous about what's gonna happen next year. Because when I left Bayou, I went to St. Mary, I went to Holy Cross. And it was pretty much set up like over here, we had 2 classes of each grade, and we stayed in the same classroom all day long, and it was very, you know, it was age appropriate. And then from 6th grade, I went to Abbeville Middle, and that was a culture shock. Even for 7th grade, to touch on Loretta's point. To think about my son, who's very timid, going into a totally different community, totally different town, scares me. Not only that, but my 1st grader, she has she's also special needs. So she has an IEP in place, and the fact of sending her into that scary world terrifies me. So I am very big in support of the original consolidation plan. I'd like to keep them here as long as possible. I will also work in Morgan City. I don't want them to be too far away from me in case, you know, they need me. So that's all I wanted to say.
Hey y'all, I'm Kim O'Brien. I am born and bred in Bayou Lewis. Lived here my whole entire life. Recruited my husband to come from Berwick for the last 25 years. I am part of the first kindergarten class of Bayou Lewis Primary that was in the back to graduate from kindergarten all the way to Assumption High School in 1983. I graduated top 25 of my class out of about 300 students. I went on to Nichols to earn a degree in business. I say that because, as everyone else has said, being from the swamp didn't define me. We didn't let it define us. We chose to push all that bad stuff that was said aside, we did what we had to do. We worked together as a community to get our education and do what we needed to do for our families. What I would like to see is possibly, like Loretta said, in a perfect world, K through 8 would be the perfect solution, but we know that's not gonna happen. 6th grade, we could keep our kids here as long as possible. 6th grade, I think, would be good because they're more mature at sixth graders. They can form relationships, I think, a little better. I have 3 children. One is in respiratory therapy school at Fletcher. I have a son that I took out of school because of his troubles that he had at Libertyville Middle School that followed him into high school, and he is now going to earn his high set at Fletcher. And I have my 10-year-old, will be 10 years old, attending Bayou Primary. And I think holding them here, onto them here a little longer would help them mature, form better relationships when they do come together at whatever grade, 7th and 8th grade, to be together. They wouldn't be so catty, for lack of a better word. Because that's what it is. It's a lot of cattiness, and I think that these kids all deserve the same opportunities, as people have said here, as other parishes, to have the resources in one centralized location as opposed to splitting them across. And I think by doing K through 6th here and a 7th through 8th middle type school, junior high, we had a junior high way back in the day, right? So it was, for us here, it was K through 4th, then they go to Libertyville for 6th and 7th, and then junior high was 8th, 9th, and then 10th and 12th at the high school. That's a lot of transitions, as Loretta said. Because I too, my son is special needs as well, and transitioning was one of his major downfalls. So the longer we can keep our kids together, the less transitions they have, the more successful that they can become at a later age. So that's my 2 cents.
So my name is Trey Rock. I'm a local resident. I've been here all my life. Started here in Bayou, Lavendale, and Assumption. Just one thing I wanted to point out that I think Loretta might have said it, or someone else might have said it earlier. None of us around here work in Bayou. We either work in Morgan City, Thibodaux, or Houma. So we already have a commute for ourselves to go to work. I think having young children that we have here in Bayou, we had to relocate that to Lavendale, wherever we had to go. You have to think about if there's an emergency or if that child needs something from us. We're already 30 minutes away. You're adding another 30 to 40 minutes to that commute to go get them. I think the 5th grade, the 6th graders, 7th graders, they're a little bit older, they're a little bit more tolerable. So some of those that have been, sick, something may happen, you need to get to them. I think you have a little bit more time to get there, but if you have a child that is in 2nd grade that is sick or, needs their parent, and we're an hour away, I think that, needs to be considered, and I understand, I work for a big company, Motionary, so you hear about consolidations, downsizing, money, budgets, you hear about all that, so, I'm accepting of it, right? But I think if we did it the right way and, considered our children, their ages and stuff, I think that'd go a lot further. And then, like I said, we did consolidate at an older age group, that give those older kids more options and resources and stuff like that. But to close this school or something, and our kids have to go, pre-K. Can you imagine a pre-K, being an hour away from your pre-K child? It's not fair, So that's all I want to say.
you guys may know me as Katie Rock. Now, most of you know me as Katie Links, though. I went to school here, moved here in the 2nd grade, went to school in the back, graduated Assumption High School. But I live in Terrebonne Parish. Moved to Terrebonne Parish, my mom's from that area. My grandma lives right down the road from me. It's a small town, just like Bayou. I love it there. I had my daughter coming to school here with me. I came here because I love Bayou. I don't want to work anywhere else. This is my home. Even though I don't live here, this is my home. Your children are my children. I love them to death. I don't want to see our little kids go further than here. They need to be here. But we do need to pool our resources for our older kids to have better opportunity. I recently moved my daughter back to Terrebonne Parish, where she's thriving now. She was not thriving here. She went to Lavendale, and I had to move her. I didn't want to, I cried. I wanted her to have the experiences I had in Assumption Parish because this is my home. I couldn't give it to her. We gotta figure out something. We have to figure out some way to all work together, to all come together as a parish, because we are one parish. All of us are one parish. It was great knowing my whole parish. I have friends in Campart, I have friends in Napoleonville, I have friends in Belrose, I have friends in Lavendale, I have friends in Bayou. No other parish can do that. We can. We can do that. We need to continue to do that, but we need to do that with the correct resources. And the only way to do that is to pool the resources.
Any other parents, community members, grandparents?
Hi, so most of y'all know me. My name is Bo Landry. I'm from Campart, born and raised. Went to Campart Elementary, went to Campart Middle School. All right. Campart's a great school, right? Bayou is a great school, right? What I think a lot of disconnect is the education of our children, right? We have schools in this parish that are failing. Why? Because they don't have the teachers, they don't have the professionals, they don't have the people that we grew up with, right? The education of our children is the most important thing. Those are our futures, okay? That might be our future doctors, that might be our future lawyers, that might be our future teachers, that might be our future president sitting in one of those classrooms right now. That's the most important thing we need to look at. It's not about sports, it's not about clubs, it's not about this or that, it's all about our future. Education comes first, y'all. So I think the consolidation, putting all these teachers and all these kids together would be a whole lot better than just throwing them to the wolves at whatever failing school they're going to, because that's where they live in. All right? Think about our kids, y'all. Thanks.
I think we also need to consider how rural we are. You know, some of the parents who are now choosing school choice, they have the means and they have the transportation to do that. I have had to sacrifice with my spouse to get my children to Napoleonville before there was bus transportation. I've had to sacrifice time at work or all of these other things and pull as many resources as I could to make it work to give my children these opportunities. But we have families who are not represented tonight who don't have those means. We have families here who have to rely on what our public system does. And it's not just our community. I know it's in every community because I serve them in the profession that I do. And so if we don't consider every single child who doesn't have a means or a mode to get where they need to get, then we are failing. Like he said, it's about the children and it's about their education, and we have to consider whether they have somebody who can help them or somebody who can't.
Just to piggyback real quick off of her, the first time they had school choice, when Abbeville was a failing school, my daughter's school choice was Pierre Park. And I did not have the resources to drive from Bayou to Pierre Park every day to bring her. So she was forced to continue at a failing school in Abbeville. And that was horrible for her. She ended up failing her senior year and had to repeat her entire math course in 1 week's time. And if it wasn't for Mr. Jordan LeBlanc helping her that day, she almost didn't walk for her graduation. If he wouldn't have stayed after school that day on her graduation day and stood by her side to help her get through her graduation, she wouldn't have walked that day. So, school choice is important, yes. This consolidation plan is important. We need to get our education where it needs to be for our students.
Hi, my name is Sandy Falcon, and I'm a lifelong resident of Bayou. I'm also a teacher here at Bayou. I've taught here for 21 years. So I actually was teaching when we were at school, when we had the school in the back. So just, if the consolidation happens, and I know one of the things on the board is to put 5th grade at elementary. So as a need, I'm sure you guys walked around our campus. We are full. We have no empty classrooms. We've actually had to have a class in the cafeteria for 3 weeks because one of them did not have air conditioning. And it was way too hot to have them in there. So we would need definitely another building if that were to be the case. Would love to even have 6th grade here as well. I think that's an awesome idea. And then do a central 7th and 8th grade location. I actually started my teaching in St. Mary, and because I wanted my children to go to school in Assumption, I chose to come and teach in Assumption. And it was one of the best choices I've ever made. So, the other thing, one thing, a need is we have been in a need for an assistant principal. Our principal needs help here at the school. They have to do all the duties, all the principals have to do, who have help at their schools. No matter how many kids we have, we need help. So that's the other thing.
Any other Bayou parents, grandparents, community members, faculty members? Okay, at this time, I'm gonna turn it back. Yes, ma'am.
I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to you all for showing up. This really shows. I'm not going to speak long. I just want to say I appreciate your passion for your children. I appreciate your passion for doing what's right for children. And I appreciate that you all spoke tonight in voice of the children, of doing what's best for our children. And knowing that even if we have to give and take a little bit, even if we still have to send our kids outside of our community, we're willing to do it if they can get the best needs and the best things that the resources they need to be the most successful. So I do appreciate you all coming out and talking about that and putting the children at the forefront. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Mr. Lord, can I ask a question after she's
Can I ask now?
I just want a question.
This is not a question and answer session.
I just want to know what the plan is.
Evening, glad y'all showed up. Willie Rock, from Bayou. They were speaking earlier. I went to Gibson, I went to Terry. I went to St. Mary's. I went to the 8th grade, I went to Latin, Assumption. Bayou wasn't getting anything from Assumption Baptist. That was the truth. Went down the road, hit 20, Chacahula Road, LA1. I learned to play Pedro in the back of the bus. Pronunciation was correct, Laos, Bayou. So you'll know what it is I was bused. Went to all the different schools, because we didn't have no way to get there. I must have been decent in school, because in the principal office, I didn't get into. For some reason, one way or the other. When they brought the elementary here because of the distance, started a little school here, it went up to 4. At that time, the outlook was the promise to go to 8th grade. Never happened. Because of water issues, it came here. All right, so basically that journey, you talk about the children and their education, that travel time, it's easier for an adult or a teacher to travel than it is for them children. And it's a small community. So therefore, it would, my opinion, it would need to go to like sixth grade, sixth grade. Now, you said you were from Zachary?
I was superintendent of Zachary.
All right, so that's Baton Rouge area. Baton Rouge area? Baton Rouge area?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, so what you'll find out is there's always bickering, but I mean, the community, believe it or not, is a strong community, because what you'll find out is they have an athletic recreation board, the president's in here. Number 1. Assumption Parish didn't have that, Bayou Lewis did. They also have a drainage district, number 1. So when push comes to shove, they will tighten and get bigger. All right, so the reason why I mentioned Zachary is, if I remember right, there's a new school board over there in Baton Rouge. They made another school board. And they just now making another town, city, right? St. George.
That's right.
Push come to shove, you might not think the resources are here, but it don't take much to go to Oakland, which is 6 miles. Gibson is not that far. With school choice, you see what's happening here. Yes. Education and consideration of those young ones need to be considered. Okay, thank you for your time.
I just wanted to say, about 12 years ago, we had town hall meetings, and it was to build this school. And Willie was here, and it was his suggestion that we do it in phases. Well, here's phase 1, and it's still here. We haven't had phase 2. Our students still come to school in portable buildings. Okay? Let me say this also. A former board member of ours always said Assumption does a lot with a little. I don't see us doing a lot with a little unless we come together and put all our ducks in one row. We gotta do it right. We have a lot of unity. Assumption High, there's no other school that has the support that Assumption High has. In all the high schools, you go to football games, you go to band festivals across the state. We have the most support. I think we can come together and do that with our schools as well. For the kids, it's always for the kids.
Look, I've heard a lot here, we've heard a lot here tonight, and you know, I used to say when I was in Zachary that we're a AAA district. Academics is always number 1, arts and athletics. You know, my son was on 3 state championship baseball teams there, but let me tell you this, a lot of people think that they had always been winning in track and everything. They had never won a baseball state championship, never won a football state championship. What I'm hearing here is we need to make sure that the resources are put toward the kids. And listening to the band director back there, look, when I took over as principal at Terra High School in '96, I had a part-time band director. Now look, I can't play an instrument. I sound good singing in the shower though, but I can't play any instruments, but I love music. And I know how important it is. And she said, I want to stay as a part-time band director. And I said, you're not going to, I want a full-time And I said, we're gonna concentrate on that because kids need that. And look, this has been a great experience for us to hear tonight because y'all are a community. These meetings like this, these are good for this community because it tells us where you're coming from right here. And look, I get it. Look, the problem is we've got a large district and you're spreading around the resources. And so you can't, but let me say this too, and I heard a minute ago about we may need more assistant principals. But as superintendent in Baton Rouge, I gave a school an assistant when they reached 300 students. If you had less than 300, you didn't get an assistant principal. You got another teacher. We made sure that the teachers were in the classroom. The last year I was there, here's what I did. Every school got a budget, okay? And so all these principals are saying, I need more of this, more of this. Not core teachers, but more of this, and this. I said, tell you what, I'm gonna give you your budget. You can hire 6 assistant principals if you want to. How do you think the teachers are gonna like that? Your kids are gonna not get what they need. This isn't about us. It's not about the leaders here. It's about the students. And so when they realized that they were just cutting off their nose to spite their face, I said, do you want me to budget it for you? Yes. The next year we did that. The year before I left, we didn't do that. They put in more people in non-needed positions than they needed. And they realized that. And the kids weren't getting what they need. So look, we're gonna go back. We don't have a plan right now. There is no plan. That's what we're doing right here. And these community meetings are so important to us because we're trying to write down what we're hearing. And we're hearing it from the heart, and that's the most important thing. And I've been around this business a long time. I went to Nickel State. I know this whole area. I used to fish all through here, all right? And I love Nickel State. I thought I was gonna go there for 1 year, and I stayed 4.5. So, should have been 4.5, because I had too much fun, right? But look, Superintendent DeFollomy, thank you so much. Board members, thank you for being here tonight. Principal Gotro, thank you very much. It's been a great evening. We're learning a lot tonight, and we will go back and sit down and start working on what the plan will be and bring it back to the superintendent and the board. Thank you all so much.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good evening.